Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
It's a busy Wednesday morning here on the 7th day of January. Thanks for starting your day with us here on O'Connor and Company. We'll make it worth your while. Coming up in 30 minutes, Cal Thomas will join the conversation. At 7:35, it'll be Jason Isaac of the American Energy Institute talk about the Venezuela oil and dropping fuel prices in America. 8:05, Jim Hansen on the Mark Kelly situation. And then at 8:35, friend of the program, Governor Scott Walker of Young America's Foundation on the passing of Michael Reagan. That's all coming up. It's Larry O'Connor with Bethany Mandel joining us this morning as Julie Gunlock is under the weather. Get better soon, Julie. We are praying for you. Bethany, good morning. Thanks for being here.
Good morning. It is my pleasure. I love Julie, and I'm just sad that I can't listen to her.
I know, me too. And by the way, check out Bethany's Substack, The Mom Wars, over there at Substack and podcast platforms. Joining us right now is the president of SBA Pro-Life America, Marjorie Dannenfelser. Marjorie, usually we have you on around this time to give a preview of the March for Life, but the conversation got preempted yesterday with the president giving a bit of a pep talk to the Republican caucus there, setting forth the agenda for the 2026 legislative session, and he suggested that on the Hyde Amendment, there should be some flexibility from Republicans when negotiating with Democrats. Thanks for joining us this morning. Give us a little background and explain what the Hyde Amendment is.
Thank you, Larry, and hey, Bethany. This is not the preview of the march that I was hoping to give. This is a real disappointing moment in the comments that the president gave yesterday. The Hyde Amendment has been long-standing Republican policy. It's actually been bipartisan consensus for decades, since 1976, when Henry Hyde from Illinois began this amendment as an attachment to the Medicaid bill all those years ago. And it's very basic. It's just no taxpayer funding of abortion. And in this case, we're talking about negotiations over extending the health care subsidies and whether taxpayer funds should support plans that support abortion. Yeah. So it's just an extension of that same principle. And there's some things you negotiate, some things that, you're flexible on, like what you wear next day, where you go to dinner, where you go on vacation, but you definitely are not flexible on requiring people to pay for what they see as the death of other human beings. Or if you just are ambivalent about it, even if you're pro-choice and you think, I shouldn't make people pay for it. That's where we are, and that's a bad place to be.
Marjorie Dannenfelser is our guest from SBA Pro-Life America. Maybe you can help me out here. I truly am confused. I'm not using that as a rhetorical device. You said that this has been bipartisan and agreed to. I mean, we've had Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House and Chuck Schumer as the majority leader in the Senate and Barack Obama as the president when Democrats controlled everything, yet the Hyde Amendment remained intact. Why now? I understand Republicans have a slim majority, but what has changed now that this, what was once a sacrosanct, understood, and agreed upon item of the budget, why now is it in danger, and why are Republicans being compelled to be flexible?
Yes, well, one matter does deserve explanation, and that is what happened in 2010, which was a departure on the Hyde Amendment in Obamacare, and this was a seminal moment, and a moment where politics really shifted to be what it is today, and that is when Obama required independents and pro-life Republicans to vote for Obamacare with taxpayer funding in it. And they came up with a fig leaf and executive order stuff that made it look like maybe they were Heidi, a little Hyde Amendment-like, but it really was not that. It was a fig leaf. So that was the moment in which things started to change. Now, the Hyde Amendment and every other federal program, however, has stayed as is, with perhaps only slight changes around the edges over time. But this is the moment that we're looking at now is the Republican Party's position on this issue. And what it is more fundamentally is a test on whether the Republican Party is pro-life at all anymore after the bruising, gutting of the platform as the president moved into the general election last time. So the confusion I understand, because wow, why change after since 1976 when Republicans have supported this? It would only be because there is a shift in thinking that this is really not a bedrock principle of the Republican Party anymore. And if we really need, and there's a concern that unless we cave on something, that midterms are in jeopardy because subsidies, healthcare subsidy extension, let's just say what it is, Obamacare extended. If we don't do that, we'll be harmed in midterms. And I just think we have to ask the question, who are we? Yeah. Who is the we we're talking about there? So how about flex on something else?
Are you hearing from folks that are, I think if Trump, we talked about this in the last segment, but I'm hopeful that this is Trump blustering in public and that maybe he's singing a different tune in private. But I think that a lot of folks take for granted that the get out the vote boots on the ground for Republicans overlap with pro-life voters. They're very energized. Mm-hmm. Are you hearing from folks anecdotally that, if this is it, then I'm not going to be a boot these midterms?
Oh, yeah.
Are you hearing that at all?
I am. This is qualitatively different. We run the largest voter contact program, certainly in the pro-life world, but arguably in the country. It is enormous. And you ask, last time we reached 4.5 million battleground homes. And when you ask these energetic young people and middle-aged people as well to go door to door when their president has just sacrificed the most simple and fundamental principle, you can't do it. And there's much discussion of late, like, the pro-lifers are a cheap date. Well, I'll just hear it. I don't know if y'all have been talking about it, but I hear that a little bit these days. And, I haven't dated in a while, but no one wants to be called cheap date. Pro-lifers do not assume anything. Now, when you choose between Harris and Trump, yes, that was a moment, even though things were rocky at that point with the president and his commitments, that was rough. This is qualitatively different. Yeah. And it's not only, and it will hurt, who has to vote here? Who has to vote are House members and senators. And so right now we're looking at whether they will sustain this or whether they will negotiate it away. And I think the latter is not true. I think what I'm seeing yesterday was a huge backlash on the Hill and some unity that is necessary. But we've got a long way to go from arguing over the Hyde Amendment.
I've seen some people making the argument that, listen, Roe v. Wade is done. It's history. This is now up to the states. This shouldn't even be a federal issue. Maybe there is room for a transition of the Republican Party to say, from a federal perspective, this is not the issue that it once was because Roe v. Wade has now been eliminated, and you states work this out.
Well, actually, the issue is more than it ever was because all the overturn of Roe v. Wade meant was an open door for now the will of the people can make its way into the law. So the big question mark is, what is the will of the people on this? It's the biggest gift that we've received since 1973, the Dobbs decision. But now is the moment to get to work on refining and defining what that actually is. It certainly isn't paying for abortion in Obamacare. Is it, and is there anything that we as a nation actually stand for on this issue? So what we have is pure opportunity. That's what the overturn of Roe v. Wade was. The question is, what will we do with it?
Add this to the long list of things that Obamacare has made horrible in our society over the last 15 years. January 23rd is the March for Life, and I guess we're reminded today how critically important this issue still is and how important that demonstration is every year. Marjorie, will you promise to come back and talk to us right before the March for Life once again?
I can't wait.
Thank
wait.
You.
I'll talk to you then.
We'll talk to you then. Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of
Thank
SBA.
You.
That's Susan B. Anthony. Let's not forget she's ours. Pro-Life America.